Right. Hello, 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 hello. How are we? We all good? Sorry that took ages. Why is my camera so low quality? Give me a second. Did that improve things? Thank you everyone saying happy birthday. It's been we've had a few stresses out today. But we're all going, we're all ready. Maybe if I turn the light up a bit, it'll be better. That camera quality will be better. Let's take a look. That's not better? What if we just have standard? Nope. For some reason, we're just gonna have to deal with low quality camera today. The mic quality is the okay. 1 second. There we go. Sorry, I bashed the thing when I was moving. Let's get the nice lighting go. Okay, so for some reason the video quality is bad. I've been messing around with all of my systems the past few days because I've been downloading Ableton again and trying to get into music making. So, you know, actual music making, not just these loops. So the settings are a bit off, but we will work with what we've got today. And for some reason the camera quality is low. But no matter. Cheers. We will be hitting. So basically the plan today. Hello Truds. Happy thank you. Truds. Oh sorry, I misread your name. Truds. Tuuds. So basically the plan here today is to just chill out for a bit. Since we hit in just over an hour, we're going over to the birthday, so I thought maybe just hang out. Just get slightly drunk on gin and tonics and increasingly irate about things like normal. Oh, 1 second. In my rush to get ready, I might have poured too much gin in that. So I will be back presently as I quickly get another tonic. It's a Tanqueray gin, Michelle. I didn't forget the. How is the sound, by the way? Because I was mucking around with the sound settings, because obviously I was mucking around with the sound settings. I didn't forget the tonic. I just added way too much gin for the amount of tonic that I had. But we've rectified that now. All right. Cheers, everyone, to another year. Another one down the drain. We are but dust in the wind. That's much better. Mic sounds good. Alright, fine. That's alright. As long as everything sounds fine. Yeah, so basically, this is the event for today. I'm having a party at mine on Saturday with all my good friends, because I will not let the king take a party day away from me. He is not getting my birthday party from me. That day, Saturday, there is no king. There's just me. So that's what's going on. Thank you, Aiden. I think first things first. One thing I'm going to do as well later on is, not right now, maybe after I've had a few more drinks, is premiere, like, sort of shows. Oh, thank you, Awesome Everton. Cheers. Cheers to Awesome Everton. Yeah, so one of the things I'm going to do later on is sort of premiere one of the actual tracks that I've been working on the past few days with Ableton. And basically the plan with Ableton is to actually, you know how I make these, like, I put together stream albums sometimes. It's just like these little bits and pieces that I fuck around with on stream. And I put them on Bandcamp, but I have one actual album on Bandcamp. So the plan is to try and build another actual album, and obviously patrons will get access to that completely, but then just shove it on sale for everyone else. So I'll put on a wee track, a sort of early bones of a track later on for folk as well, which will be fun. But for now, I'm just going to change up this music because it's not feeling this music. We'll change it to something else, and then we'll get chatting away. We'll probably get chatting away. Things that have annoyed me today. I got hacked. That was annoying. I lost access to my Facebook account entirely because of that hack. That's very annoying. People were talking about tuition fees. That was very annoying. Those are the main things that have been annoying. So we might spend a bit of today talking about education. Things that are less annoying is that I finished working on a lot of the corrections that my supervisor sent me on the PhD, so we're just edging closer to getting there every day. Anyway, so before we get into all that, let's get a better tune on the go. If I can find my pick. Got it. That's a bit nicer. I'm jamming with that a bit more. Thank you, What's Therapy, for the super chat. Appreciate that. And welcome to Harker and Ricky. We got all the whole gang here. God, I've got a chance that things might get slightly messier than normal if I'm hefting the gins. I assume the mushroom shirt is because he's such a fun guy. Yep, that's right. The more he's around you, the more he grows on you. Yep. And much like the mushrooms in The Last of Us, like all left wingers, we grow through you, and we make you all think the same things. That's how we operate. How can I find this? The music I'm making right now. Remain Lettuce. I have a Bandcamp where I sort of collate some of the tunes, but not all of them. Like I was saying, some I'll be trying to put together a more cohesive album at some point soon, hopefully. Drinking on a school night, yeah. I was thinking about doing this tomorrow, and having like the full thing on my birthday. But I have a meeting with the new head of my institute on Thursday, and I thought probably best not turn up to the meeting with my new boss hungover. That'd probably be not great. So I decided to do it today. I have a meeting tomorrow, but it's not until like 4 o'clock, so I'm sure I'll be fine. Otherwise tomorrow I'm just not going to do much. I finished all the work that I needed to do really today, so I will. I'm going to take tomorrow mostly off. Probably be fucking around with a lot of music stuff for most of the day. Go for a swim. That'll be nice. I was meaning to go for a run today, but I completely forgot. Yeah. So what was I oh yeah. So today's been a mixed bag of days. So the first thing that happened when I woke up and look at my phone, and I've got a message from a friend of mine that just says, "Have you been hacked?" And I was like, oh fuck. At first I thought it was Twitter because he DM'd me through Twitter. He was like, "Are you been hacked?" And I was like, fuck's sake. And I checked on my Twitter, and Twitter's broken. It's a broken app. Elon Musk has fucked Twitter. And my Twitter was showing that I had no followers and no following, but then I clicked on it and it was fine. And it was actually Instagram. So I went on my Instagram, and what had tipped him off, my friend, was that I had posted a picture that said Elon Musk is great, now do a bunch of cryptocurrency, or basically. And my friend was like, is this John joking, or has he been hacked? And I feel like that's a good brand to have if people aren't sure if you're joking or if you've been hacked. I think that's quite a good vibe. But I had been hacked. And I noticed I was suddenly following about 100 more people than I thought. And most of them were porn accounts. So I was like, yep, we've been hacked. DEFCON, I don't know, what's a not very serious DEFCON 5? DEFCON 5's the least serious. And Instagram's been hacked. So I was like, oh fuck. So I had to navigate through that. Again, remembering the whole time that my phone is in German. So I had to figure out various things in German to fucking to figure out what to do, how to change my passwords and everything. I did all that, and then I noticed that I couldn't get on Facebook, and this is more annoying. This is a more annoying thing. I went to sign on to Facebook, and because the person had attached their Instagram account to my Facebook, and so Facebook had decided, in their infinite wisdom, to delete my Facebook account.
how did they get my info? It could have been any number of ways. I changed all my passwords. Could have been anything. It could have been brute force in there. I don't know, but I changed all my passwords anyway. Yeah. Why is my phone in German? Because I'm trying to learn German, and I thought it would help. Most of the time, it's fine. So I went onto Facebook and it said your account's been deleted because this Instagram account, and it's like some random bunch of numbers, is attached to your Facebook. And instead of having like the normal thing, which I would assume would be a normal thing to do, which would be like delete this Instagram, disaffiliate this Instagram from my account, and then let me have my account back. They don't let you do that. They just delete your account. And then it takes you to this thing where it's like follow these steps, and you can sort of you can appeal your Facebook account deletion. So I followed these steps. I filled in this form, and then when I clicked the submit button, I was met with a sign which said, "This was unsuccessful. Please log on to Facebook." Now, logging onto Facebook was the very problem I was trying to solve. So, I feel like this is not good advice from Facebook. This circuitous fucking round in circles we go. Oh, you know, if you can't, to appeal this decision of being kicked off your Facebook, sign on to Facebook. And so I text my sister. I was like, Heather, can you have a look at this? And she took a look and found the thing that says what to do if your friend has been Facebook account has been deleted. And so, clicking on that, guess where it takes you? The first form, the same form which says fill in this form and then log into Facebook. It's like the most Brazil-ass, bureaucratic, Kafka-esque nonsense to try and just appeal a Facebook decision. That's meta. That's the fucking metaverse for you. Fucking circuitous Kafka bullshit. And so I've basically just lost lots of shit, which most of which, like, I don't use Facebook much. I have 2 active group chats. One which is my family group chat, which is gonna have to change. Made me realize I don't have one of my brother's phone numbers. That's probably not great. The other being a group chat I'm in with a couple of Australian friends of mine that I use to keep in contact with. But I guess we're just gonna have to fucking move to a different app. And then, like, you know, decades of photos and shit, which I will try to download and do something with, but having them on Facebook is handy. So that was a very, very frustrating start to the day. I was unhappy with all of these turns of events. Thank you, unimportant. So yeah, so that was fun. We'll see. I'll see if I can try and get my data or something, or maybe they'll let me on. Is your WhatsApp tied to Facebook? Facebook owns WhatsApp, but I don't think it's tied in any way. They didn't delete my other Instagram accounts, which are tied to Facebook. They're fine. So I don't know. I don't know what's going on with that. Deeply frustrating. Anyway, I was looking forward to. The one thing I was looking forward to using Facebook for, which would be the one thing I've used it in years, was when I got the PhD. I was just bragging to everyone I knew. I was like, yeah, this is my one opportunity to do a big brag. Can't do it anymore. So annoying. Not gonna be able to do my big brag. But oh well. Keeping me humble by being hacked. Isn't that great? Thank you, Aranok. Cheers. How are you doing? Yes, that was part 1 of today. moving on. What else were we going to talk about today? What did I say at the beginning that we had other things I had to talk about? Oh, thank you, Amy. I'm glad you've enjoyed it. Just jump through all the stupid hoops and get it back, then back it all up. The thing is, Jimmy Edwards, the hoops don't go anywhere. It's not about me not being like arsed to do the hoops. I'd happily jump through the hoops if the forms made sense and they led somewhere. But the hoops are hoops that are put up against a brick wall, and you run into them and you smash into the brick wall because they don't go anywhere. It says fill out this form, you fill out this form, you click submit and it says this doesn't work, sign on to Facebook. Absurd. It's an absurd thing. It doesn't make sense. So that's the main problem, not the actual filling out the forms issue. I'm sorry, Aaron. Sorry, having a rough week. I'm sure the rest will start to look up. What are we talking about in Neil Anderson? I got hacked and then my Facebook got deleted. That's basically it. Oh yeah, tuition fees. Yeah, we can talk about tuition fees. Amy watched the Chicken Run video twice. We love to see it. More information from Chicken Run 2 is coming out, and we'd love to see that as well. That's positive. Thank you, Neil. We're gonna get a bit drunk, and then we're gonna fuck about and to make up for that. And we're gonna rant about tuition fees and fucking the sewer that is the British media class. They're making a sequel. Oh my friend, they are making a sequel. I'm so excited. Very excited for that sequel. Excited and dreading it. Like, it better be good. But we will see. Whatever happens, I will be making a video on it come, I think it's out at Christmas time. So either Christmas time or January, we'll be getting another Chicken Run video. And this time I'll make sure that it's not blocked in Germany or whatever, fucking blocked in various other countries. So that'll be coming out. Man, I need to get working on my next video as well. I need to get that fucking effective altruism video out. I need to buy a fake tongue for that, because I want to do a bit that's a very stupid bit with a fake tongue, which is essential to the video. Yeah, we'll need to get working on that. Thank you everyone. I can't respond to everyone saying happy birthday, but knowing I see it and I appreciate it. Yeah, so the big like discourse in Britain today, news discourse, that is, was tuition fees, considering tuition fees, because I don't know if anyone knows, but the leader of the Labour Party in the UK, Sir Keir Starmer, is a piece of shit. As a piece of shit. The bosses better give the writers what they want. I don't want the damn capitalists to ruin Chicken Run 2. You know, I have faith in Aardman Studios. I think that they're comrades. I have faith in them. I'm setting myself up to disappointment. That's what I'm doing. I'm fully on the train. I'm ready for it. I'm shaking. I'm quivering. What they should do, if there's a premiere, they should fucking invite me to it. They should. Yeah, I know the WG is striking right now. That I think the film's been in the works for about 10 years now. So I think it's all written. Everything's written. I think it's post-production at this point. The Chicken Run movie, it's due out in December. So that should be okay for the WGA. Aardman is great. Aardman are fantastic. I'm also excited for their Star Wars short. Breathing a sigh of relief. Yeah, exactly. We're not getting a Quantum of Solace situation for Chicken Run. Yeah, so Keir Starmer, who's the head of the current leader of the Labour Party, and a man who has all the charisma of a cinder block. He previously had a pledge which said Labour Party was going to scrap tuition fees. Which, you know, I assumed they were going to roll back on. I just, because they're scum. They will invite me to the premiere. Hey, if we can start a fucking grassroots campaign to get me to the fucking Chicken Run 2 premiere, I will be on it. Let's fucking McElroys are gonna be in Trolls 2, this motherfucker. John is in the premiere for Chicken Run 2. That's what we're fucking doing. Yeah, so you know, the Labour Party were gonna drop that any day. So they dropped it today, and what's been missed in a lot of the things of people talking about the Labour Party dropping tuition fees is Starmer basically saying that we can't afford to get rid of tuition fees at this time, which is, you know, just a sign that the Labour Party are gonna do austerity when they get in again, which again we all knew, but it should be a bigger story that that's what they're going to do. And so all day, people have been talking about tuition fees and whether or not it is good or bad to abolish tuition fees. And the obvious answer being, it's good. It's good to abolish tuition fees. And at the forefront of this has been a guy who I shouldn't engage with because he annoys me on a sort of visceral level, to the sort of petty visceral level. A guy called James Ball, who used to call himself a data journalist, which is not a thing. It's not a real thing. It's something he made up for himself. But he no longer calls himself... Is my birthday May 3rd? Mine is too. Happy birthday, Alan Down. It is May 3rd, yeah. At 45 minutes. We will be joining on another rotation, ever closer to becoming cosmic dust. Which is nice. Yeah, James Ball and his fucking data journalist bullshit. Starts talking about how actually it's really regressive to get rid of tuition fees. It's actually a massive transfer of wealth from the working class to the middle class, and it's just subsidizing fucking middle class kids going to universities. Now, and the funny thing about James Ball is that he's not supposed to be a fucking libertarian right winger. He's supposed to be a fucking centrist liberal type. But here he is repeating basically Republican talking points, which is fun, which is interesting, which is not at all because he's a fucking principleless, contrarian, smug wanker. So he starts repeating this, and it's so annoying to me because the things. Let me find the tweets. I don't do this on stream very much, but let me fucking find the tweets because they are annoying. Yeah, too right. I don't know. Who'd have thought that centrists would actually turn out to be weird right wingers? $84,000 fucking followers this fucking idiot has. Oh my god, this person tweets a lot. My god, this guy tweets a lot. Oh my god. Okay, so here it is. Exclusive. You just replied to him if that helps. Yeah, of course. Exclusive. This is from an account called Henry Zeffman, who's just reporting it. Exclusive. Keir Starmer will abandon Labour's commitment to abolish university tuition fees within weeks. This fucking guy quote tweets it. This is a good policy to abandon. What's that? Blah blah blah. Basically saying this is a great thing. Great policy to abandon. People are like, what the fuck are you talking about? Why would this be a good policy to abandon? Then he comes back with, tuition fee, scrapping tuition fees costs $9 billion a year and is targeted definitionally at the higher end of the income distribution. That's not true. That's not true. That's not true. What is that? And also, as a data journalist, fucking, let's crack out my statistics training. As a data journalist, what does the phrase high end in this context mean? Are we talking about anyone above median? Because sure, but many things which are not graduate degrees also exist above median. Are you talking top 5%? Because nope, that's not true. Are you talking about top 10%? Because that's still not true. The average graduate income, depending on age, is sort of between 23 and 27,000 a year in the UK, and the median income is like 28 grand a year. And it goes up and it goes up after time. But what it basically does is makes anyone who's earning over quite a small amount of money pay a marginal tax rate of 41%, which is higher than 80 than the people who are on 85k a year. So that's obviously some bullshit. Which is a bit of fun to start off your thread about how sensible and moderate you are and how you're the real progressive because you want to fucking make people pay for tuition fees. I'm going to get to a larger point on this in a second. At the higher end of the thing, we have evidence they don't deter students from degree study versus other priorities. It's just a bad way to spend money. Okay, so they don't deter people from spending money, from joining degrees. So who cares? You can make people's lives without deterring them from doing a thing. Maybe because the entire economy is set up to push certain people into degreed education, even if they don't want to or don't necessarily need to for their lives, they're still subject to a massive degree of indebtedness because they were told that that's what they have to do. So what? Who cares? That point has very little relevance for anything. Lots of people on here hate them. And as I've tweeted elsewhere, there's lots to do to improve them. But it's self-serving and completely out of line with people's supposed progressive politics. Now, for this person, what he's saying in this account is basically saying that if you want to get rid of tuition fees, then you're selfish. You're not a real progressive, you're just selfish. Now, that runs into problems when you've got people like me who didn't go to English universities. I went to a Scottish university where tuition was paid for me. We had small amounts, we had student loans, but they are so much smaller, massively smaller than in England. It's not even comparable. I paid with savings for my master's degree, so I didn't have any there. So I don't have any stake in this fight, so it's not self-serving. So then where do we go from here? If it's not self-serving, and it's not selfish to say that this is bullshit, then what is it? You've run out of things to say. And he goes on later on to say, One of the most common replies I'm getting on tuition fees is suggesting that they are particularly bad for disadvantaged students. The evidence is trickier. In Scotland, absent fees, those sort of students are even less likely to go to university than England. Now, I don't want to tell a data journalist how to do his job. But I would think that it is a very basic tenet of journalism. If you have a claim, you have to have evidence that substantiates that claim. Now, this person, James Ball, made a claim. There's evidence that he's saying that people who are disadvantaged aren't worse off because of tuition fees. That's the claim. The evidence is disadvantaged students in Scotland, where there are no tuition fees, are not more likely to go to university. That evidence does not substantiate that claim, unfortunately, James. Unfortunately for you, that evidence does not match up. Because it just doesn't match up. It's not substantial. It doesn't make. There are a whole number of other reasons why more disadvantaged students in Scotland might not go to universities, and those are not reducible to the existence of tuition fees or not. Nor do they say that the existence of tuition fees necessarily does not disproportionately impact poorer students. Of course it does. Of course it does, because so many more, a lot of more wealthy students can immediately have their parents pay off those tuition fees. A very basic point, one might think. One might consider in the realms of data that James Balls might be able to consider in his world of brain magic, where he's saying that tuition fees are abolishing tuition fees is non-progressive. One might consider this issue. But the actual real point that I want to make about this, we can fucking nitpick on James Ball and his annoying smug face all we like, is the reason tuition fees exist, and the sort of the way that James Ball's talking about it, about finding money to pay off, to plug a hole in expenses, is not really about the money. Like the money to pay for university students, the government could do that. They could do that. There's no issue. Governments do that across the world, across Europe, and comparable places. There's much more accessible, freely available education, including in Scotland, a nation within this state which does it. So the issue isn't really about expense. The issue is about the neoliberalisation, the continued marketisation and indebtedness of students, which serves to reproduce particular labour powers and political subjectivities in specific ways. That's the reason that tuition fees exist. It's not about being fair to underprivileged students. It's not about it's not about stopping in the absurd and bizarre way that James Ball says it. It's not about stopping people who didn't go to university, subsidizing people who didn't. That's absurd. That's not how a society works. It's not about that. The reason tuition fees exist is to put students in indebted conditions and to marketize education. It's part of the neoliberal process. So James Ball may be talking a big game, and Keir Starmer and all this, they all might talk about not being able to afford it and having better priorities. The real thing they're defending is neoliberalism, which is what we were always going to get to when I started talking about this the moment I started talking about this. So you can talk. All these people on their high horse, the progressive high horses, are really just absurdly determined protectors of the status quo, of the neoliberal hegemony, of maintaining things as they are and making sure things get worse in an even slower rate. Even if indebtedness is not the goal, it definitely is a result. I mean, I think it is also the goal. There's plenty of evidence about the restructuring of social rights as social debts, which has been a consistent policy program. Like, it might not be explicit, but it's built into the logic of the neoliberal state that indebtedness, to be in debt to the state, is the measure of being, like, de facto, rather than like having a right to an education. I think it is like what is dictated by the fucking state. And it's part of the same process of marketization. There's absolutely no separating these things. And it annoys me so much, because it's for these same reasons that my industry is collapsing. That tuition fees are part and parcel of the problem of university education in the UK completely collapsing in on itself, completely disintegrating. Why, just a few days ago, another whole English department was completely abolished as part of this whole as part of the whole system. And these foot soldiers of maintaining it via data journalism, with their smug faces, are bad people. I think that's fair to say. Bad people. Let me catch up on chat. The actual function of tuition fees is to force people to work a lot after graduation. I mean, I don't even know if it's about forcing people to work a lot, because it's just what it is a projection of inequality. It basically ensures that some groups of people will remain in unequal relations to others. It basically, because obviously the people who are richer can afford to get rid of their tuition fees, whereas people who are poorer have this massive tax levied on them, basically, and can't, their social position, if they can afford to pay them off, because you have to earn a certain amount to start paying them off, and a lot of people can't. If I had gone to university in England, and I was out of university for, at this point, like undergraduate for, at this point, at this point it would be about 8 years, 7 or 8 years, I would still have never made enough money to start paying off my student debts. I mean, it's not a sensible system. It's not based on any sort of real rationality. It's based off of deep ideological, structural drives. How old will I be? I'll be 29. 29 in 29 and 31 minutes. Yeah. So that really annoyed me. That annoyed me a lot today. So well, we can talk about stuff that's. The other thing I have to talk about is a horrible protest. But yeah, James Ball, data journalist, professional tutor. Yeah, I mean, it was just nonsense. And I tried to avoid it for most of the day by just like fixing PhD stuff and fiddling about with my music software. Part of it seems to be a contradiction of simultaneously wanting to maintain inequality within the labour force while also requiring university degrees, even for entry-level jobs. Yeah, so one of the things that the UK economy has is a low-skill labour market and a highly skilled workforce. This is not like a moral position or normative position on. It's just sort of how the labels of these different, like how economists label these sort of positions. They're value laden if we're going to interrogate them, but as I use them right now, I don't want to imply any normative ideal there. But we have a glut of very highly skilled, highly educated workers who are massively underemployed, both in terms of their hours, where they're often working more than one job, and in terms of the jobs that they're working. One of the reasons why I went to do a PhD is because to get a basic entry-level research job at like a local authority, at a council, required you to have a PhD. And 15 years earlier, you would not have been required to have a PhD for that sort of job. You would be able to do that job with a undergraduate degree. I know people who have worked in council, local authority research for decades who had no degrees, because these jobs don't necessarily require degrees, but there's like a glut of overeducation and a lack of available work for people who have that. That's why we have so many people who do mindless sort of office spreadsheet jobs. Why I do a mindless office spreadsheet job right now, because there's no jobs. Why? For entry level, yeah, 100%. PhDs for entry level research jobs, 100%. It's absurd, but yeah, that's what the labour market's like. Shaw's the Great and Powerful. Good display name. That was not the sole reason I decided to do it. And I would never say to someone, if you can't do a PhD to get a job, because I think there's probably better ways to go about it, and it will drive you start 3 years of obsessing over a research project you don't care enough about will be bad for you. The other reason why I did it is because I like doing this, and I knew I liked doing it, and I missed being in education. So, but that was also one of the other reasons was the terrible state of the labour market. I want a mindful spreadsheet job. Well, one of my best ever jobs was a spreadsheet job. It was a bullshit job. I've talked about this on stream before, but I used to work for an arts funding body. I'll just say what it is. Fuck it. I used to work for Creative Scotland. Absolute nonsense job. They hired me to do. Most academic and research jobs require a PhD. Yeah, academic jobs, 100%. But this was just like local authority stuff, and like charity research stuff as well. But yeah, so I worked for this company called Creative Scotland, which is like the Scottish Government's art funding body, and I was hired to contact locations that were in this filming locations database and ask them if they wanted to continue being on this filming locations database to fit with GDPR, which is like a data protection law. This was 2 years after this law came into effect in the UK, so it was massively out of date already. And I discovered early on that I was supposed to like call people up and ask them. I discovered early on it was during the workday. People weren't at home, so nobody answered their phones. So I stopped calling. And basically all I did was sent some emails to some places and then fucked about with, in fact, two of the friends I was talking about earlier, my two Australian friends who I had was in that group chat on Facebook I can't access anymore. Just used to fuck about. And what was brilliant was that it was flexi time. So I could rock in at like 10, half 10. My manager was in Glasgow and I was in Edinburgh. He didn't notice. And then at like 5:30, everyone would be like, John, do you want to go for a drink? And I'd be like, I guess I need to stay for another hour because it's flexi time. And they'd be like, we'll put your hours in. We'll put you for another hour. Just come for a pint. And I'd be like, all right, yeah, sure, 100%. If that's the deal, 100%. And it was wonderful. One of the best jobs I've ever had in my life. I was only there for like 2 months. But I miss it. What a job. That's a mindfulness job. It had a roof terrace. And it was in the very centre of Edinburgh. Right next to the Balmoral Hotel, overlooking Waverley Station. Carlton Hill was just opposite, and it had this wonderful roof terrace. So we used to go up, just hang out outside for like an hour or two for lunch break, and just fuck about. Oh god, it was brilliant. What a job. So that's a spreadsheet job I can get behind. I'm going to talk about something a bit more depressing in a sec, which was another protest I was at the other day. And I but I will make some another tune first. Thank you, Valky. Of course, yeah, of course, Harker. Nab anything you want from these streams. These are not serious places. Hello, Maggie Mayfish. Thank you for the birthday wishes. Yeah, of course. If anyone ever wants to nab any of the music that I make here, just go for it. I am not proprietary over this. It's just me fucking about. I will finish this gin before midnight comes, and then I will get another to ring in the new age. I was gonna talk about the miserable fucking protest I was at over the weekend, but I'm not going to because it's too sad, and I'm not going to. I don't want to subject people to sadness today. Yeah, what's on everyone else's mind? Anything else? Any thoughts or chats that folk are after? Anything that is on the mind? Last year of my 20s, how are I feeling? Honestly, fine. I feel much more secure now than I was like just a few years ago. Like, because so I turned like graduating Sunday, Neil. Congratulations, well done. That any graduation I'm fully supportive of. As if I wouldn't be. As if I'd be like, you're graduating? Fuck you. You don't get to graduate until I graduate. Yeah, like I felt rubbish when I turned like 27 and 28 because more 26, 27 because I was at that point living with my parents. I didn't have much in the way of income coming in. I wasn't self-sufficient, which I know is like its own thing. Like that's its own sort of ideological thing that's weaseled into my brain. And I'm not saying, again, no normative judgments here. But so I felt like I wasn't a real person, and I felt like I was getting through my 20s having regressed back to, I turned 28 and then I was like living with my parents 10 years after I'd moved out, which felt bad. But I turned down that music a bit. Sorry, that music was too loud. But this year, I'm by no means, I'm cracking that almost taxable income bracket, and I can survive. I've got got my own flat, not my own flat, but I'm not living with my parents anymore. I'm surviving on my own. I've got, my life is good, so I'm not worried at all about age at this point. Mainly because it wasn't really the age that bothered me about turning a different age. It was just anxiety about wherever I was in my life at that particular moment, which was reflective of not, it was always going to be the case that I was never going to be. Part of it was that I was the only one of my siblings that was still somewhat self-sufficient, somewhat dependent on my parents, which just didn't feel good, but that's, is what it was. And David Woods, I bounced back to my parents 3 or 4 times. It's what you have to do sometimes, especially these days. Yeah, I know that. It's one of those things that's like, on an intellectual level that what you're feeling is not necessarily rational, or correct, or even like a good way to look at things. self-sufficiency is overrated. Yeah, 100%. Like, we're all dependent on everyone all the time, constantly, and I don't think that's bad. But we live, you know, not to be on brand. We live under capitalism, and its logics and ideologies infect us and make us react in emotional ways to certain things. And one of those emotional reactions, which was not necessarily something I could help at that time, was feeling bummed that I was getting to my late 20s, still living with my parents, not much in the way of job prospects on the horizon, and didn't feel like a real person. But that, and so that was the main anxieties that was sort of demarcated by birthdays. So it wasn't like the actual aging was the issue, but that the sort of, it was like a marking point to be like, hey, any anxieties you've got at this period should get hyper focused on this specific day, and that will make you feel bad, and there's no escaping it. The milestones, yeah. But you know that I feel fine this year. I don't necessarily have a strong financial backing at this point, but I'm surviving. I have a light at the end of the tunnel with the PhD stuff, and I'm not looking forward to the job hunts, but the job hunts can be getting on with earnest at this point, which has some degree of hope to it. So I don't really bother. Not bothered about it. Plus, I keep having people saying to me, John, I can't believe you're nearly 30. You look so young and fresh. And I'm like, thanks. It's nice. Full-time professionals at their parents' house unite. I mean, so many people I know are like that. I mean, fucking my elder brothers. Well, my brother was living at home until like 2 weeks ago, because he got shifted out of his apartment, his flat, by terrible landlords, and had to move back home. He's been back and forth several times. So my eldest brother, the only one who's not really, is my little sister, who's been who found a job about 9 months out of university, and has been away ever since. The rest of us have been back and forth all the time, and they're the two older brothers are quite a bit older than me. It just happens. One of my siblings was living at home, you say? Yes. Until quite recently. Alright, we've got 5 minutes. I'm going to get myself another drink, and then I will be back. You know what, actually? While I get another drink, let's, we're going to put up, you know, I was saying at the start, we have some, which is in contrast to, no, I wasn't saying, I was saying that at that point, I was the only one who was living at home. Don't try to trip me up. I know my life. So while I go get a gin, I'm going to put on the tune, the sort of bones of a tune, Far From Ready, that I put on today, that I made today. This is one that I'm going to... So obviously, like, all the drums are not done yet and everything. But this is the bare bones of an actual song that I will be putting together in the future while I get a gin. Can we all hear it? Let me know. Sound off in chat if you can hear. So that should hopefully be the bare bones of a actual full track. Maybe I'll try and finish it by the end of summer, as in like the full album of that. Oh yeah, and that's the birthday now. The official birthday has started. We are now 29. A moment, please. Yeah. What's quite funny is that there's going to be some people on Facebook who are going to be trying to like look for me to be like, where's John? I need to wish John a happy birthday, and doing the whole Facebook palaver of that stuff, and they're not going to be able to find me, which is quite fun. Happy birthday again, yeah. Hey, thank you, David Woods. That's too kind. Cheers. 29 is weird. Not young, not old. I'm still young. I'll be young. I'm fine with being young. Merry birthday. Thank you. Yeah, one, it's fun. What I aim to do is try and get my dad got the job he like ended up spending like loving his favorite job when he was 30. I'm gonna get mine before I'm 30, just so I can beat my dad. Oh, Aiden, I do like that song. I like a bit of fun. Yeah, if there's anything to motivate me to do something, it's be competitive with my family, which is such a big family way to look at the world, but I'm probably not healthy. Yeah, so fucking looking like Kramer with my hair there. Was there anything else? Folk? Board games in your family must be fun. You have no idea. One time, a friend of mine, a friend of our families at this point, came round to dinner with us once when we were kids, and said it was like coming to dinner with sharks, because of the sheer, like, first of all, because the way that we all launched at food, and you have to launch at food in our house, because if we don't, then one of my brothers will be on it faster than anyone. One time we had to punch one of my brothers to stop him eating ice cream so quickly. It was unbelievable. He opened his mouth and it just went in there. Birthdays are a bourgeois deviation. Well, when I have a party on Saturday, it will be a bourgeois deviation from the feudal deviation of the crown, of the coronation. So we will be Robespierre on Saturday. Yeah. So it was like dinner with sharks because Robbie ate it so quickly, and but it was also because of the sheer competitiveness between us. Just as a big family. Am I gonna say that pledge to Charles? I was almost considering like doing like a whole like royal theme for the wedding, like an ironic royal for the wedding. Ooh, what a slip! For the birthday, for an ironic bit. But then I realized that that could easily go very very non-ironic and not being not ending up going well. New lore just dropped. What lore was it that we dropped? Was it punching Robbie because he was eating ice cream too quickly? Yeah. I mean, it was unbelievable. Sometimes, oh man, God, we can't get into, or else I will be too mean about my brother, who none of you know. And that, I love my brothers. Yeah, there's competitiveness. The only time I have ever punched someone, I punched someone in the face, was punching my eldest brother Neil in the face after we played a game of table football together, and he won, and he did psychological warfare on me, and drove me to such a absurd level of frustration. I was about 10, 11 years old, and I punched him straight in the face. He would have been 18, 18, 19 years old. Straight up punched in the face. Engels has explained the family enough for us to understand we should stop them now and forever. That was one of the things that sort of. So the way let's talk about table football. I like table football. The way table football worked in our house is yeah, Kai is saying I'm an only child, and anytime I hear about my sibling, see people talk about their siblings, I'm like, are you okay? And they're always like, oh yeah, my brother's my best friend or something. I mean, I wouldn't say my brothers are my best friends. We don't live close enough for that. Periodically we maybe have been when we've lived closer, but we are very, very close. We're like my partner. We're talking about how close our family is, and it is just very close. I have punched him in the face one time for playing table football. Robbie once broke my foot doing judo. It happens. But the way table football worked in our house was, so my dad used to torment my eldest brother Neil. They played table football, and when when my dad would score a goal, he would let out like a wee laugh. He'd go, we go, yeah. And just like doing little things like that would build up and annoy my eldest brother to like such a degree that he'd go on like a massive huff. And my dad would like make paper crowns. Like they played so much and they called it the Supreme Championship. My dad would wear a paper crown that said Supreme Champion on it. And that drove Neil, the eldest brother, to get up in the middle of the night and put sellotape over the end of the goalpost at the end of the table football, and just practice hitting it for hours and hours and hours and hours until he got like absurdly good. And so he got good enough to beat Dad, and so Dad could no longer make fun of him. Although that's not true. Dad could make fun of him, but he couldn't win. And so Neil took all that psychological warfare that had been put in him by Dad, and he tried to do it to Robbie, but Robbie doesn't give a fuck. That didn't annoy Robbie too much. So instead it went to me, and what Dad did to Neil and what Neil did to practice, I did the same thing. So Neil did that to play me, and anytime he scored a goal, he'd laugh. He'd go like, ah. He'd be like really smug. He'd talk about being the Supreme Championship. They'd play Nessun Dorma on the piano if they won, either of them, Dad or Neil. Paper Crown was still in play, and so I got absurdly good at table football. I did exactly what Neil did. I got up in the middle of the night. I put tape all over the goals. I practiced for hours and hours and hours and hours and hours, to the extent that that one time I went to Germany when I was about 10 years old, and these two Germany, the home of table football, where everyone loves it, and these two German swimming coaches were playing like our whole swimming club at table football, and they were destroying everyone. And 10-year-old me came up on my own and played them both at once and absolutely decimated them. And they were like, do you play for some team? Are you a professional football player? And I was like, no, I'm a Supreme Champion. I'm the Supreme Champion. But that wasn't, at that point I wasn't good enough to beat Neil. I can remember the day I beat Neil for the first time. That's how significant it is in my life. Where I think he'd come back he did a master's degree in Newcastle. So he would have been, how old would he have been? Maybe like 24, 25. So I would have been 15, 16. Is there a of course there's a Pro Table Football League. It's below the Supreme Championship though. So I would have been about 15, and he came back, and I just completely destroyed him. And I remember him being like, what's happened here? He'd lost himself. He'd lost a bit of himself. And then it just became a constant fight between the both of us about who was going to win. And each of us got extremely good at winding each other up. And I realised that how good table football isn't real. Table football is real. Is perhaps the only real thing. But I didn't realise how good I was at like winding people up on things like this. Table football is football for us Americans. I think so. I think in America you call it football. So I didn't realise how good I was at winding people up and doing psychological warfare like that until I played Mario Kart with my flatmates at an undergrad. And Mario Kart, again, another thing that we got absurdly good at. But what Dad did to Neil, what Neil did to me, I did to my flatmates. I managed to get them to like be standing on the sofas, just like screaming, just like this is horse shit. This is absolute horse shit. As I was just like drifting past them and just being like, or if you can wind up someone by just like letting out a wee smile like this, you're a top class winder upper. You're a top class winder upper. So John living in his flatmate's head's rent free, looming over them like Wario's shadow. Honestly, now and then I get sent Mario Kart stuff by my flatmates. That's just like, and then I will know that they've seen it and been like, God damn it, I'm so annoyed by this. This reminds me of John. And then I can respond to them by being like if someone gets hit, they'll send me like a TikTok of like someone getting hit with a blue shell, and then when they're in first and everyone gets past them and they become last. And I can just like respond to that by saying, this wouldn't happen to me because I'm too skillful. And I could just like the typing buttons come up. I can be like, and they're up there for 5 minutes. I'm just watching them going like, yeah, you're annoyed, aren't you? And just like, then they disappear, and then they come back, and I go, you're really annoyed. And then it'll just be like, you're a smug prick, aren't you? And that's like nourishment to my soul. Oh, I eat that shit right up. I love it. Yeah, exactly. I don't get to a single blue shell. If you get hit by a blue shell on the finish line and then you come like last, that's ultimately that's your own fault. You should be like far enough ahead in a race that one blue shell shouldn't, like, you know, it shouldn't put you any less position. Maybe seconds if you're being unlucky, but you know, you should be far enough ahead. Otherwise, you're just not good enough at the game, to be honest. This is my dark side, by the way. These two things, table football and Mario Kart. This is the darkest I go. These are my dark sides, and that is the ability to absolutely the ability and the absolute joy I find in winding people up about specifically Mario Kart and table football. Oh God, I love it. It makes me feel all warm inside. Perfect Dark, I enjoyed Perfect Dark. That was one thing, I was never very good at those shooter games, so I don't have any competitiveness about stuff I'm not particularly good at. I'm not good at it, who cares? Stuff I'm good at. It's not even competitive, because competitive would imply that somebody could beat me. But that doesn't happen. Alright, Harker. Catch you later. I was thinking about streaming, figuring out how to stream Breath of the Wild 2 when it comes out. But you need like some special card to stream on Switch, don't you? John the Troll. You know, it's just like some people, they just don't have the skill. They just don't like have that sense of drive and skill that you need to become a champion at Mario Kart. And you know, I'm just a humble winner at specifically Mario Kart. It will never happen, obviously, but just so you know, there's a forever standing challenge in Mario Kart for me and Spirit. So just so you know the extent to how bad this got, my old flatmate Tim, he's competitive, like in a real competitive way, in a way which I'm not. Mainly the competitiveness is just for my own amusement, which is maybe worse. Hello Trudy, how's it going? Welcome. We're just talking about Mario Kart and table football. Trudy knew me at the brief period of time where I got relatively good at table tennis, because when we lived together in the University of South Carolina, our halls had a table tennis table, and me and my friend Clay used to go down quite a lot. Thank you, Mirror Surfer. Mirror Surfer. Thank you for the birthday wishes. Yeah, so my friend, my family Tim, he got really competitive, and he used to stay up at night. Practicing a specific level on the Mario Kart Wii, which is like, it was like Yoshi Circuit or something, and like on time trials, and he got to the extent that he was like 30th best in the world. And I came in one day, and he looked at me. He was like, "Just got to 30th best in the world at this track. Bet you can't do that." And I was like, "Oh yes, here we go. Let me see this person's spirit drop." And I picked up the controller, and immediately got to 13th best in the world. And I was like, and I didn't say anything, because I could feel him next to me just being like, and I just went, that was alright, yeah. Felt like I could do better. 13th is okay. Better than 30th though. And I've never eaten someone's soul like I ate that soul. It was beautiful. It's like a black hole. Oh. Oh, it was so good. On a less like on a less competitive, did I provide a voice for a Philosophy Tube video? Was that what was the process like? How did I get into character? I'll come back to that in a second. On a less mean, soul destroying and level, we used to play Mario Kart, which was fun. Although the first time we played Mario Kart, it was me. Mario Kart, the rules we played it was that you had to finish your drink before the race. That was the rules. So if you could either down it at the start or you could wait and sip it throughout. I played it with myself, a different flatmate, and his girlfriend. And the first time we played it, we made the mistake of playing it on where we had full-on cups of like beer and vodka. So that's like, we did it on like full crates of beer. So each of us had a crate of beer, and we had to down a beer before the race ends. That's only 3 Grand Prix That's only 3 Grand Prix. We were absolutely ruined. And about like 2/3 of the way through, Tim, who I, beat at that Yoshi circuit that I was telling you about, he came in with his girlfriend at the time, and he looked at us like rolling there, and was just like, I've never seen someone look so disappointed in me in my whole life. He just looked at us and he just went, "Alright, how are you guys doing?" And me and my flatmates were just like, "Oh, yeah, it's 8 o'clock on a Saturday and things are messy." So we had to switch up. The next time we played it, we switched it up. We got plastic cups and we were like, this is much better. We play that. There is not drinking and driving. That we made that joke so many times. Yeah, so who is it? Someone asked about Philosophy Tube video. Yes, so in Philosophy Tube's video I've been involved in a couple of Philosophy Tube videos. That was the first one I've actually done a voice in, but so the one on effective altruism, I did the voice of James McCaskill, and the process for that was that Abby just emailed, Abby DM'd me one day and was like, "Do you want to do a voice from a video? Do you want to be William McCaskill?" And I was like, "Sure. But does this mean that you are also doing a video on effective altruism?" Because I have one planned, and at that point it was planned for the start of April. And she was like, "Oh yeah, it's planned for June." And I was like, "Ah, fuck's sake." She got there first. Basically just like DM me, I was like, "You want to do this?" And I submitted two versions of the quotes. One which was the one which made it in, which is just my normal voice. And one which was my impression of William McCaskill, which is slightly less than kind. It's accurate. He has a funny little voice, William McCaskill. His voice was he's a strange kind of, sort of a posher kind of Glasgow accent, where it's kind of high up and slightly odd like that, where he talks about in the world things have been going slightly better as progress has going on. It's a strange little accent. Abby didn't use that one, although I suspect I will use it in my video on effective altruism, which should hopefully be out by the end of this month. So yeah, that was basically it. She just DM'd me. Was like, "Do you want to do it?" And I was like, "Yeah, sure." Whatever. But then didn't use my slightly mean, which makes sense for like Abby's whole deal is being compassionate and being kind, even to people you disagree with. And my whole deal is, maybe drawing pictures of Lawrence Fox fucking a dog on a whiteboard. And they're not the same vibe, are they? It's sort of Kelvinside mixed with Western. I don't know. I think he's from Glasgow, but he does have that kind of weird sort of Western Isles kind of like side to it. It's a strange accent. Yeah, it's an odd one. But yeah, so I don't think you would see. I don't think you would see various drawings of figures that I didn't like, fucking dogs, in a Philosophy Tube video. I feel like that would be slightly too sharp for one of Abby's videos. Have I considered doing my entire effective altruism video in character as William McCaskill? No. and that will not happen.
I do feel like I should probably try and branch out to do some more things with the format. I liked the Pride video, which did slightly worse than I was hoping it would do. Is one that and the masculinity one are two videos that I liked having a bit more done with the format of like in the video essay format. But I'd like to have a bit more. Abby would never piss maths. I actually think that Abby would piss maths. I think piss maths is a joke that Abby specifically would find quite funny. Oh, and thank you, Kitty. Yeah, Kitty Magic. Happy piss maths to you, and happy piss maths to all who celebrate, to all who observe. Oh, that's nice. I'm glad that's the case. Yeah, I'm really pleased with that video. I'm gonna, when Pride comes, I'm going to be spamming the shit out of that video. Because I wanted to do better. Alright, let's crank up the tunes again. Do another tune. And any topics or questions, as ever, you know the drill. Sound off in chat, and I will answer them. That's fun. Okay. Let's see what people have been saying. The Wednesday one was I'm quite pleased with the Wednesday video. So the plan with sort of, some people got very mad with the Wednesday video, not because they thought the Wednesday show was good, but because they wanted me to talk about real things. And first of all, I make what I want to make. Secondly, I used the Wednesday video to talk about real things. And thirdly, it was an end of year video that I was doing for fun. But it didn't have the... I think what made the chicken run video so fun was that it sat in that sort of place that was like, you couldn't tell if it was sincere or a shit post, and it was both. And I think that's what made it work. And the Wednesday video didn't quite have that. It had a lot of me. It did give me the opportunity to talk about how much I love the Addams Family, and I do. But it didn't quite measure up to the standards that I'd set with the chicken run video. But hopefully we'll get back there this year. Yeah, I mean, I can talk about pop culture if I want. Like, I'm allowed to do. It's a YouTube channel. We're not leading the revolution here. We are making YouTube videos. Yeah. This year's Christmas video will be Chicken Run 2, 100%. Unless I don't have time to make the video. It depends on when Chicken Run 2 comes out. If it comes out too close to Christmas, that might be a January video. In which case, I already have in the tank an idea for Shrek 2, a video on Shrek 2 being the most queer movie. It's the most queer movie, and I can fucking land that shit. I will be doing that shit 100%. So if the Chicken Run that's in the back burner. If Chicken Run 2 doesn't come out in enough time for me to make the Chicken Run video before Christmas, I've got Shrek in the back burner. We're all set. I've not seen Carvaday's video on Shrek. No, I now that I've heard that there is a video on Shrek 2, I probably won't watch it just so I don't accidentally get any ideas from it. But yeah, 100%. It's the queerest movie. Like Shrek on its own, Shrek 1 is not as 100% queer. Shrek 2 covers the span of queerness, and we can get into that. We can get right into that. But yeah, that's the backup video for Christmas if Chicken Run doesn't come out in time. You don't need any time. Christmas video, hot take video, January video, apology video, content, baby. Oh yeah. What sort of apology video can I do? I can do apology video on reproducing capitalist logics with my attitudes on Mario Kart. That's the apology video I can do. Yeah, I like the Wednesday video as well. I think it's a good video. I just don't think it didn't sit enough in that not sure if it's ironic or sincere space that gave that special soupçon to the chicken run video. Yeah, I mean, I enjoyed that video. Thank you, Renaissance Women. We're having a good time. Again, most of tomorrow is going to be spent fucking around with some music software. I've got a Easter egg that my mum got me that I've still not eaten yet. That has to be finished.
Need to finish Succession. These are all plans for tomorrow. I swear there was something else I was meaning to talk about today, but I forgot. How often do I stream? Normally so the stream schedules are every other Thursday normally. So normally it's every second Thursday, but this month this week is different just because it's the birthday stuff. Yeah, so if you want to catch it, I normally advertise them the day they're happening. So the next one will be 2 weeks on Thursday will be the next one probably. Oh, Lewis, you should go to bed. Don't hang around for this shit. I appreciate it, but you know. Yeah, I still need to watch the most recent episode as well, Aranok. I blasted through. I'd not finished season 3 when the new series started. I just forgotten to watch it. And then I just blasted through it in like 2 weeks. It's so good. I just love how pathetic. Let's talk about Succession. My favourite thing about Succession is it's like the anti Aaron Sorkin. It's like, good night, Lewis Anderton. So Aaron Sorkin has this thing where he's trying to legitimize the world by making all of his characters, all of his heroes, super smart, super eloquent, and all of the people who have the bad points that he wants to admonish to be speechless by the power of the pure wit and loquacious intelligence of all of the heroes, which is the worst example that I know of is one where there is in the West Wing there's a protest outside of I think a trade center, and one of the speech writers for the president or whatever is grumbling about it to yeah, and Kieran Culkin saw it. We're all on board with that. Sorry, I got backtracked for a second. So this like speech writer is complaining about these protests to a police officer, and the police officer's like, "Oh, they're not that bad, surely." Which, first of all, Aaron, have you ever met a police officer? Have you ever been in a protest? They fucking hate protesters. Do your research. And this police officer's like, "Oh, they're all right. They're fine." And Aaron Sorkin's hero does this big speech about like how great free trade is and how great global capitalism is, and does all this shit and like does this whole spiel, being like, I can convince you that global capitalism is brilliant actually. Think about this and this and this, and I'm a speechwriter, so I can bring you to the final point of all. Free trade ends wars. And like, you know, if I was next to that speechwriter, I'd be like, sure, that's a lovely speech. What wars? Have you? This show came out in like 2002. Like, there was a Gulf War 9 years ago. What about the history of colonialism? Like, you know, basic shit. But like the whole point of the scene is that Aaron Sorkin's characters pummel people into the ground with the pure loquacious intelligence that they emanate from themselves and are a cipher for Aaron Sorkin himself to feel smarter than everyone else. Succession, by contrast, the dialogue is witty and like and stylized, but nobody in that show comes across as an unreal intelligence. They all come across as mean, petty dipshits. Even Roman Roy, the head of the fucking crime family. Doesn't come across as like some super genius. He comes across as a mean bastard that people are scared of. And the reason he's survived is not because he's particularly smart, not because he's smarter than everyone, but because he's mean and horrible and powerful. And thank you, Caitlin. And all these people, even like the way the person who plays Kendall, the way that he delivers all of his speeches seems to me to be a very deliberate rebuke of Aaron Sorkin-esque dialogue. Like the way that all of his speeches are like, well, that's just something we're gonna try to look at, and so this is go forward on this. And it's like, God, it's so good. It's just as absolutely like as an absolute rebuke of Aaron Sorkin-esque corporate political dramas. And the message of it is that all of these people, every single one of them, are disgusting. And the entire world in which they operate is disgusting. And the moment that you start to feel sorry for them is the moment that they do something just completely despicable, just completely repulsive. Which is fucking brilliant. It's a good show. It's a good show. And Aaron Sorkin can go and, I don't know, write a children's book that nobody likes. I had a coffee and immediately went, oh crap, a birthday stream. Let's come and see you in the middle of an anti West Wing rant. You know, I don't have to get into character because I'm pretty much the same all the time. The anti West Wing rant happens once every 3 weeks, just in my general life. Oh, that's incredibly kind, Ryan. Thank you so much. That's very nice. Yeah, so Succession is a good show. In conclusion, Succession good, The West Wing bad. I've had a few people be like, "Do you should do a video on Succession." I'm like, I don't think I have enough to say. I think it says everything that needs to be said about it. Hiya, Anrel, thank you. Everyone go follow Anrel as well on YouTube. Anti-West Wing rant. Yeah, that show says all that needs to say. It doesn't need anyone else really talking about it, from my perspective, anyway. Because my perspective would just be, this is a good show. These people are terrible, and you should hate them. The most pathetic character is Tom, whatever his name is, Tom Wagamama. But even he, like he's so pathetic, and he makes you feel just desperately sad for him, with his wife who hates him, and and just constantly like stonewalls him into just doing these awful things. And you're like, you could feel sorry for this character. You could almost like this character because he's so pathetic. And then he does the most just things to subordinates. He's just an awful, awful person. You're like, yeah, all these people are terrible. And her name is Shiv. Yeah, exactly. And I think, like, I was having this discussion with someone the other day about who the most pathetic character is. And it's, it's Greg, right? Greg is not the most pathetic character. Greg is slimy, Greg will do well and be happy. Tom is just sad. He's just sad and pathetic. Oh, thank you, Matriarchetype. For anyone who doesn't know, Matriarchetype and I did a wee Zoom call with Matriarchetype, and she put together a video out of it, and it's very good. And you should subscribe to our channel. Yeah, Greg is an awful person, and Tom is just pathetic, just utterly pathetic. I can't talk. I don't want to talk specifically about like the thing that makes me think of Tom's sort of specific patheticness, because I don't want to like do any spoilers for people who haven't caught up. But there is a moment, the very end of like the sort of period of Tom from like the end of season 3 to like halfway through this current season, where he thinks he's like, I've sorted this out, I've hitched my wagon to the correct train, and then you're just like, oh no, Tom, oh you poor fool, you absolute poor fool. Someone should do a Succession yearbook. Caitlin, it is, yeah. It's from the Look Pedal as usual. You missed the I've been making full-on tracks again. I finally got Ableton again, and I put one of them on earlier. I'll put it again when we end the stream. But this is still Loop. Yeah, that's a show. That's a show I will recommend to anyone. All right, I'm gonna grab one last drink, and then I will come back and I'll redo a loop. I'll be back in 5 minutes.
Yeah, Caitlin, it took me so long to get a proper DAW cracked, because those things are so expensive, and I'm gonna fucking pay for that shit. Because I used to have, when I made the original album that's up on Bandcamp. That was on an old laptop that a friend of mine from my last band gave me, and that was like nice, easy. He gave me the thing. It was cracked. It was easy. And that's how I made that last album. But I got a new laptop, and I haven't seen that guy for several years because I moved away and reasons. Thank you, Nick. And I finally got round to getting a new DAW. It took so long. It took so fucking long to. I'm so bad at like torrents and cracking and shit. But I finally sorted it out, and finally have the DAW set up and can make music again. One thing I do have to do is wait for I think Wednesdays is when my flatmate goes to the office, and that's a day that I can record vocals. And I recorded vocals previously in my parents' house, which is a detached house, so you don't have to worry about like people hearing you. Unfortunately, living in a flat, people can hear you, so I'm just gonna have to get over some sort of anxiety about that, unfortunately. You wouldn't download a car. I would download a car. Alright, so let's get a new tune on the go. I'm thinking something kind of disco-y, just to keep the vibes up. And I like disco. Yeah, so that didn't end up. It didn't end up disco, but that's fun. Caitlin, I do have some synths. I've got some. The crack I've got has got some fun synths. And if you scroll back, if you don't stick around to the end, but if you scroll back, you can see some of the synth work at play in the track I made on Ableton. I'll play it again at the end once we're done. Callum Armstrong, I was in Liverpool last year for TWT, so you might well have seen me there. Yeah, 100%. Unless it was someone who looks just like me, who was also happened to be in Liverpool in September. But I was in Liverpool in September. Alright, so unless anyone's got anything else that they want to talk about tonight, any burning questions, I can't remember if I had anything else that I wanted to talk about that I said I was going to talk about, but then I didn't talk about at the start. I can't remember. But if not, then I'll stick around for another like 10-15 minutes or so, and then we'll start winding up after that. There's some talk on sound stuff that I have no ability to understand. I'm so bad at sound. Let me scroll up the chat and see if there's anything else going. The song feels hopeful. It turned a bit more uplifting than I thought. I thought it was going disco and then it went somewhere else. And to everyone that I didn't see, thank you for the birthday wishes. It's all very... I appreciate every one of them. If I have any awareness of if I have a battle of, I mean, I'm happy to go. If people, all I need to keep chatting is people to ask me questions. I just need something to hook onto, and then I can keep chatting. I discovered your channel last week. Enjoyed a few videos. Wondering if you had any insight or awareness of the rise of the far right in Ireland. I don't know a huge amount of I know that there's been some nativist movements on the rise, which have interacted with some of the fucking existing anti-colonial sort of trends within Ireland, and interacted with a kind of nativist view, like sort of position, which gives the sort of far right emergence there a slightly sort of different flavour than it has in other places. Like as in England, people will be like, I'm Indigenous English, and it's like, it's nothing. But in Ireland, still a condition of colonial occupation in Northern Ireland, there's some degree of like structural position of colonizer and colonized there, which far right groups have latched onto, is my understanding, because it's complicated by the position of Ireland as part of the imperial metropole and beneficiaries of the imperial metropole to a degree, which complicates the rise of the far right compared to stories of like England and Scotland even. That's all I can say. I'm not a particular expert in that area. I would have to do a lot more reading
and be a lot less drunk to offer any sort of definitive opinions on that. That is just a very quick. That's all. I'm very happy to be corrected on any content of what I've just said there. I've only sort of glancing awareness of it. Nothing particularly strong. I should be more aware, unfortunately. Yeah, Caitlin, you talk about like the way of getting the MIDI pedal to work in Ableton, because it works in Ableton. I've got some sort of MIDI pedal stuff going on in some of the tracks. There's no issue with that. It's just straight input. There's like basic things like you can't do like a pedal bass like between two strings without it fucking up a little bit, because there's always some signal that's trapped between the two strings. It kind of fucks up, but aside from that, it's fine. Not sure how much you follow US politics or media, but there are some interesting things happening with Fox News. The media watchdog group Media Matters has been trying to take them down. The most I've seen is Tucker Carlson. Oh my god! You know what I can fucking talk about? We're gonna get on a rant. Okay, folks, we're not ending in 10 minutes. We're doing a rant. Tucker Carlson. So Tucker Carlson's fired. Woo! Great news. You know what? I'm gonna have to go to the toilet before I start this rant, because this is gonna be long, and it's gonna be me being annoyed about Jacobin. Give me 2 minutes.
Hello, Will. Okay, so I am going to talk about this. I have just seen my card, not my card, but someone has been trying to charge shit, trying to subscribe me to things using an email address, and trying to subscribe me to stuff. The Instagram hack is going further, and I've just had to cancel several payments onto my account. So that's happening, which is unfortunate. We will deal with that in a second. My card is frozen, so we're safe. Nothing's gonna happen, but that's annoying. So we were gonna talk about fucking Jacobin, weren't we? Because Jacobin put out swings and roundabouts, yeah. Jacobin put out an article when Tucker Carlson resigned, or was fired. That guy always looks like he's trying to remember how to breathe. He's always just like, fucking Jacobin put out an article being like, he was trying to fucking say things that the establishment didn't like, and that's why they didn't let him. That's why they didn't let him do shit. Why they fired him? Because he was dangerous. And it's like, no, Jacobin. That's not what happened, is it? That's not what happened. I'm afraid that's not true. What happened is that he's a terrible bastard who everybody hates. And I'm sure there's internal reasons for it. It's not because they think he's dangerous to fucking imperialism, because he's not. Have your head screwed on. But basically the linkage between these two things, these two disparate thoughts of me hating Jacobin and Tucker Carlson, was that a couple of weeks ago they put out an article about how an interview with Chibbers, an academic called Chibbers, about how there's no such thing as a labour aristocracy. How the global north how workers in the global north do not benefit from the exploitation of workers in the global south. And I quote tweeted this with, this is bullshit, because it's bullshit. It's like self-evidently bullshit. And my God, my mentions for days afterwards were hell. It was unbelievable. People being like, people arguing about value theory with me. I remember it. It was like a Sunday. It wasn't this Sunday. It was the Sunday before. I've been like, this is a full-on Sunday, and I'm arguing about value theory. Yeah, it's the first time I've had value theory become actually useful. Because people were like, there's no labour aristocracy in the global north. Look, because workers in the global north don't get a wage benefit from the exploitation of workers in the global south. And then people were sending me articles about how in the neoliberal age wages have been squeezed. And I'm like, these are related but distinct issues. These are the notion that wages have been squeezed in certain ways for a while in the global north does not in any way dispute the notion that workers in the global north benefit from the cheap commodities produced by workers in the global south. And this is how we got into value theory, because I had people arguing with me that the notion of value. How am I going to explain this in a concise way? So, are we all abridge? We're all abridge our Marxist value theory, right? If you're not, let's do a quick primer. So basically, Marxist value theory. Of course, well, I would expect you to be. In value theory, in Marxist value theory, it is a critique of the Ricardian position. The Ricardian position is that value is all generated by labour. This is the labour theory of value. Marx's position is that, yes, labour creates value, but it's not labour in the abstract. Labour exists in a specific, historically specific social condition. That social condition differs in different contexts. And it's about an assemblage of particular social relations which produce the value of that labour power, which then produces value when that labour power is then set in motion, when you start to make things. So say you've got a labourer in the global north versus a labourer in the global south. The standards of living in these places are distinct. In the global north, it takes a lot more money and resources and value to reproduce that labourer, and for that labourer to then set that their labour power on motion in the labour market. So the value that is produced by that labour power is heightened because of that expense. In the global south, the expense of that is much smaller, and the reason for that is because of historically historic and continuing processes of extraction, of colonialism, of imperialism. This is real sort of like bread and butter Marxist thought. Like, this is, people are like, oh, this is a reinterpretation of Marx. This is basic Marx. This is Marx's value theory in a T. I had people trying to argue with me in my mentions, and I understand that this seems completely obtuse to be annoyed about this, but people being like, oh, Marx argues that value only comes from labour, and then sending me screenshots of things of Marx saying value comes from labour and the assemblage of other social relations. And it's like, this. Stop sending me if you're trying to like argue with me, don't send me like something that contradicts the exact point that you're trying to say. Why would you do that? Yeah, London waiting is a good example for the UK. And so if you're arguing about something like, if say you notice that wages in the global north have been constricted during the neoliberal age, you might think, if you have not bothered to look hard, you might think, oh, so globalization has had no impact on the conditions of workers in the global north. You would have to discount the production of cheap commodities for that. Say you discount it. But that still does not prove or argue against the notion of a labour aristocracy, because different pressures counteract and interact with processes of labour power value. So the comparative high level of wages in the global north is still a result of the process of colonialism. And one of the people responded to me saying, oh, the reason that wages are so much higher in the global north is because we have much more developed modes of production. At which point I would just like to ask, what developed those modes of production? How did that happen? Because it wasn't because we were more productive, it was because of historically specific processes which are ongoing. And it was one of those things that I could feel myself being unreasonably annoyed at. Because you could just say, shut up, you fool. Just do it. But the specific tenor and tone of the way that people argued with me on this got me so annoyed. Days I spent wasted arguing value theory. William's saying, wasn't it more or less the workers entitled to the labour value plus the markup instead of the corporation? So that's, William, that's sort of a Ricardian position. The notion that the markup is
That's like it's like a simplified sort of Ricardian position of value theory, that the worker loses out on the value that they produce in their day because it's appropriated by the capitalist as surplus. That's like true, but there's a whole load. That's like the top of the iceberg. There's like a whole load of stuff below that, which contributes to the value which the labourer then produces on top of that. So like labour is only set in motion and produced via value is only produced and set in motion via the labour, but the labour is only set in motion because of a whole bunch of other stuff as well. So like a very like standard non reformist, non-vulgar Marxism. It's just like, and for Jacobin to be repeating this stuff is wild. To be like a socialist magazine which does not understand the very basics of Marxist theory is absurd, and it made me very angry. But yeah, so that was my rant. I am gonna cut short the stream at this point, because I will have to deal with this this hack and start doing some stuff to, I'm gonna have to deal with this. So thanks for sticking around. I'll keep the stream going for a couple of minutes as I'll play again that tune I made on Ableton, and then we'll see you in a couple of weeks. Thanks for sticking around and listening to my ranting, and see you later.